Being an NFL quarterback is one of the most lucrative positions on planet Earth.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Cheating, cheating, bling, bling, got the chatter. You ain't talking money, then your talking don't matter.
Even as a backup, you're still getting paid millions of dollars a year just to throw on a ball. And that's not even talking about all of the starters who are now making upwards of $50 million a year to play quarterback. Now, as somebody who played quarterback in high school himself, I can say that my skill and my talent got me this close to making that kind of money one day.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
But the rise in quarterback compensation can all be traced back to the 1980s when the passing game in the NFL really took off. Since the 80s, the NFL has evolved more and more and more into a passing league. And because of that, the facilitators of that passing league, the quarterbacks, are now being compensated fairly. Additionally, the NFL as a league is making a lot of money. The salary cap is going up. All of these things are contributing to an increase in salary for the quarterbacks. So we're getting deals that were recently signed, like Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts, where guys are making $50 million plus a season to play quarterback. This was, unheard of years ago. But now in the modern NFL, this is kind of standard practice for the next crop of young stud quarterbacks who are looking to get a contract extension past their rookie deal. It seems like almost every single year, some of the game's most elite quarterbacks, and Daniel Jones, are signing extensions that are in this kind of financial range to where their team secures their services long term, but they also compensate them very well with 30, 40, again, like I said, even $50 million annually. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the next crop of quarterbacks that could get this kind of generational payday. I'm going to give you guys a few guys who I think will be next up in line, what their contracts could look like. Should this team extend them? Will they extend them? We're going to talk about all of that. But before we hop into my list, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're at about 110 subscribers. We're on the road to 10 million. Very much would appreciate to hit that by my birthday. So if you guys could help me out with that, that would be awesome. Also, comment down below which quarterbacks you think should get extended first and for how much. So let's get right into the list. The first person on my list, and perhaps the most obvious answer to this question, is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the first overall pick in the 2020 draft, and the best way I could describe Joe Burrow in one sentence is the savior of the Cincinnati Bengals. My life, up until Joe Burrow being drafted, the Bengals were kind of the laughingstock. They hadn't won a playoff game. They really hadn't done jack shit. Their best seasons were with Andy Dalton and AJ Green, where they went like 10-6. They were never a serious contender. They were never legit. Enter Joe Burrow, who had a solid rookie year before departing with that injury, but in year 2 took the Bengals to the Super Bowl, and in year 3 took the Bengals back to the AFC Championship game. Joe Burrow is everything you want in a quarterback. He's accurate. He's got leadership. He's got moxie. He's got sweat. Everything. Joe Burrow he's one of the rare examples of everything you want from the first overall pick. Joe Burrow is a no-brainer. They would be dumb to not make him a Bengal for life. And, if you're Joe Burrow, you have a lot of leverage here. The Bengals aren't going to let you go. So you can demand a pretty hefty contract. I would hope that Joe Burrow's extension gets done this offseason. That would be, I think, smartest for the Bengals to save a little money. And I honestly think that he's going to creep up into the 52, 53 annual average, $53 million annual average for quarterbacks. I'm going to say it's probably going to be a 5 or 6 year deal with about $53 million. So if my math serves me correct, that would be about 5 years, 200 and $210 million. That's the math I'm going to do right there. 5 years, $210 million. Nope, that's not it. 265 million contract extension for Joe Burrow. That's what I would give him. That's what I think he deserves, and I think that's what the Bengals are ultimately going to be forced to give him, if not more, down the line. Next, let's talk about another quarterback from that 2020 draft, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert He's also a very young stud QB. I think he's a bit more talented. I think he's got like a stronger arm and he's a little bit more athletic. Yes. However, the only questions with Justin Herbert is he has not done anything in the playoffs yet. Last year they made the playoffs. They had that big lead against Jacksonville. Jacksonville came all the way back. So you do have some questions if you could be a legitimate contender with Justin Herbert, but I think he might answer those some this year. But again, like Jay said with Joe Burrow, he's going to get paid. The only problem for these two players that I first mentioned is that they have cheap ass owners. And in the case of Justin Herbert, I can see him being much more willing to accept a bargain, and more team friendly deal than I can with Joe Burrow. But Justin Herbert, I think in his own right, is going to deserve that payday as well. I think the matter of fact of who gets paid more will depend on who does it first. So I think you kind of want, if you're the Chargers and the Bengals, you kind of want to beat each other out to get these extensions done, or else the other team, or else if you're the second place finisher in that race, you're going to have to pay more for your quarterback, which obviously, owners are always finding a way to save a penny here and there. So might as well just get it done now. You kind of already know these guys are going to be your long term future at quarterback. So not much question them. But again, I see Justin Herbert getting somewhere in that above $50 million range. It's not going to be below, Jalen Hurts, I don't imagine. So I would say very similar contract for Joe Burrow. Next, I have three guys who I think are going to be due in the next year. I don't necessarily see it this offseason, but in about a year, I can definitely see this getting done. My first guy right there, staying with the 2020 quarterback class, is going to be Tua Tagovailoa. Now, Tua, he has some question marks, right? Can he stay healthy? Is he going to be able to recover from these concussions this year? Can he put together a fully healthy year? These are legitimate questions that the Dolphins will have about Tua. And so this year, for his long term future, for his contract extension, will be huge, right? But when he's on the field, I mean, he has been electric. They were the number one efficiency offense in a lot of categories last year. His connection with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle was very good. The offense was very good when he was on the field. So let's see if we can have a full year of Tua to fully digest. But again, like his mates in the 2020 class, Burrow, Herbert, Hurts, at that point, by the time he's getting extended, the Dolphins will have a decision to make on Tua, and it will really just depend on how they feel about his health. Next, I have two guys from the 2021 class that I think are due for extensions. And that first one is going to be Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, kind of similar story to Joe Burrow. First overall pick, has turned the Jaguars franchise around, is their future, everything you want. Now he's not as how I say, he's not as doesn't got as much riz as Joe Burrow does. But I think Trevor Lawrence is more of a quiet leader, and I think that he's somebody that the Jaguars still obviously appreciate a lot. I think that, this was his big year, was year two, and that was kind of the case for Joe Burrow as well. Joe Burrow followed it up with an even better, I would argue, year three. I think Trevor Lawrence is on pace to do that as well. So by this time next year, we're probably talking about him the same way we're talking about Joe Burrow right now, which is great. I mean, having your number one overall pick turn out to be your stud quarterback is pretty much best case scenario. And I think that the Jaguars, again, they're going to pay him. They're going to pay him good. They know that they can't let him walk. And they're not going to. They were gifted the number one overall pick, and they took somebody amazing, and they're not going to let it walk away. Let's just say that, right? Next, let's go to my final player, and this is more of a maybe, but I think it's due in about a year, year and a half. That's going to be Justin Fields. Justin Fields, again, in that 2021 draft class. You think of the other quarterbacks in that class. Zach Wilson ain't getting extended anytime soon. Trey Lance hasn't done shit. Mac Jones might not even be on the Patriots next year. But Justin Fields, he has been the heartbeat of Chicago for his duration here. He has been arguably already the best quarterback in Bears history, which it's not a very high bar to pass, but whatever. But the big reason that I think Justin Fields is going to have a long-term future in Chicago is because of the fact, two reasons. A, the Bears had the first overall pick in this draft and could have very easily taken a quarterback and restarted, gotten, cheaper, nonetheless, when, had more years of control on a rookie contract. But they traded that pick. And not only did they trade that pick and bypass taking a quarterback, they traded that pick, and with that compensation back, they got a stud wide receiver. They also in the draft took a offensive tackle with a top 10 pick. You do those moves to help your quarterback. So clearly they have long-term plans for Justin Fields. Now, I think if he has a god awful year and doesn't put it together and it's just a no on Justin Fields, they could replace him in the draft next year. They have the draft compensation to do so. But I think we've seen with a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of the young, really, really talented quarterbacks in the league today, they make a big leap in year 3. Joe Burrow had he had a leap in year 2, but then he also had another leap in year 3. Josh Allen had a leap in year 3. So we're really hoping for that year 3 Justin Fields leap. But don't be surprised if that happens. And if that happens, don't be surprised if the Bears award him accordingly. So that is my list of the next quarterbacks that are going to get paid shmoney. Let me know of your list down below. Let me know what you think of this video down below. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. It's going to be a good one. You don't want to miss it, I promise. I don't say it about all my videos. Some of them are kind of mid, but tomorrow's video is actually really, 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 really good. I'm super proud of it. So please make sure to stay tuned. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.